If you just landed in Canada, got your CN, and a friend told you to open an RRSP right away for the tax refund, stop. As a newcomer, you legally have 0 RRSP room in your first calendar year, which means every dollar you put in can turn into an excess contribution and a CRA penalty later. I read the fine print so you don't have to. Stick with me, because there's a first move you actually should make the moment your SIN arrives, and almost nobody tells newcomers about it. Here's what's really at stake. A newcomer who becomes a tax resident in 2025 gets $7,000 of tax-free TFSA room that year, and another $7,000 in 2026, according to the CRA annual TFSA limits. Skip it. And that's $14,000 of tax-free investing capacity gone in just 2 years. Money that could have been compounding instead of sitting in a checking account earning almost nothing. But getting this wrong costs money in both directions. Put money in an RRSP before your room exists, and it's an excess contribution the CRA can penalize. Put too much in a TFSA, and the CRA charges a 1% per month penalty on the excess amount with no grace period. So the goal today isn't just save money, Darcy's, it's use the right account, in the right order, without tripping a penalty. Let me walk you through the exact steps. Step 1 is a don't. RRSP room is based on 18% of last year's earned income up to a yearly cap, and the 2026 RRSP dollar limit is $33,110 according to CRA figures, but that only applies to people who already have Canadian earned income. In your very first calendar year, your RRSP room is effectively $0, so you cannot legally contribute yet. Newcomer guides are blunt about it. Don't open an RRSP until the CRA confirms your deduction limit. Step 2 is the move most newcomers skip. The TFSA is a tax-free account where you pay no tax on interest, dividends, or capital gains. To open one, you only need to be over 18, a Canadian resident, and hold a SIN. There is no income requirement, so you can start saving before your first paycheck. This is your real first money move, and your room starts building from the year you become a tax resident. Step 3, actually set it up. You can open a TFSA at your bank or a low-cost platform, for example, EQ Bank or Wealthsimple. And this is illustrative, not a recommendation, so check the fees and account details yourself. Bring your CN, ID, and proof of address. Then automate something small like $100 a month, which is $200 a year. Even that modest start begins using your tax-free room right away. Here's why timing matters so much. TFSA room is not the full amount going back to 2009. It starts from the year you become a resident and accumulates from there. A newcomer who became a resident in 2024 has roughly $21,000 of cumulative TFSA room by 2026, calculated by adding the 2024, 2025, and 2026 limits under CRA rules. Unused room carries forward, but every year you wait is a year of tax-free compounding you can't get back. Step 4 protects you from that 1% penalty. Before you transfer any large amount, log into CRA My Account using your SIN and open the TFSA information section, which shows your official contribution room and past contributions. Compare that number to what you plan to deposit and stay at or below it. The CRA figure can lag your recent activity, so if you've contributed at multiple institutions, add it up yourself to be safe. If this is useful, subscribe. The next breakdown is already coming. Step 5 is for when you're ready for the RRSP, which is later. After you file your first Canadian tax return, open your Notice of Assessment in CRA My Account and find the line labeled RRSP deduction limit. That number is the most you can safely contribute. If you're still in year 1 and haven't filed, that figure is effectively 0, which is exactly why we started with the TFSA. Before I get to the biggest mistake, which is the most counterintuitive part of this, here's the order that ties it together. Newcomer guidance suggests TFSA first. If your income is under roughly $60,000 to $70,000, and you've been here under 2 or 3 years, then the FHSA if you plan to buy a home, and the RRSP later. Why? An RRSP deduction is worth more when your income and tax rate are higher, which for most newcomers means later years, not the first one. And here's the counterintuitive payoff. This isn't about big money. It's about starting early. If someone like a 29-year-old newcomer invested just $5,000 of TFSA room in a simple ETF earning a modest 5% a year, that single amount could grow past $25,000 tax-free by age 65. That's a modeled estimate based on the limits, not a CRA guarantee. Delay that same decision by 5 years and the final number drops meaningfully. Early beats large. So here's the mistake that costs newcomers the most. Copying Canadian friends who say, just start an RRSP for the tax refund. That advice quietly assumes you already have RRSP room and a solid higher income. In your first year, you likely have neither. Contribute $3,000 to an RRSP when your CRA limit is $0 and it becomes an excess contribution, meaning penalties, correction forms, and possible tax on any growth. Great advice, wrong timing, wrong person. The second mistake is subtler, doing nothing while you figure it out. Parking savings in a plain checking account earning almost nothing feels safe, but you're burning years of tax-free growth. Yes, unused TFSA room carries forward. But the compounding you skipped does not. Even opening the account and starting with a small automatic transfer beats waiting, because the earlier your money is inside a TFSA, the longer it works tax-free. Let's lock it in. Don't touch an RRSP in your first calendar year. Your room is effectively zero. Open a TFSA as soon as your SIN arrives and automate a small monthly amount. Verify your exact room in CRA My Account so you dodge the 1% penalty. Only check and use your RRSP deduction limit after you've filed your first return. And always follow the newcomer order. TFSA, then FHSA, then RRSP. If your SIN just arrived, your first money move is the TFSA, not the RRSP. That one change can save you from penalties and unlock $14,000 of tax-free room over your first 2 years. Next, I'm covering the FHSA for newcomers, who qualifies, how the room works, and how to stack it with your TFSA before you buy a first home. Subscribe so you don't miss it.